Hello, and welcome back to Minecraft. Today we're going over a locking selector I've built in Minecraft, which, if you didn't know, selector is pretty basic. You push a button, moves to that option, push another button, goes to that option. It's a radio button, essentially, so only one output can be selected at a time. If you notice, there is a little bit of overlap before it resets the other ones, but that's pretty marginal, and I don't think you really have to worry about that. However, what's fancy about this selector is there's this locking switch. So if we flip the switch up, some pistons fire off and nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. The output stays locked until we turn off the torch, at which point we select the new option and it moves on. So it's locking and it just ignores any inputs when the torch is up. So any inputs, like I'm clicking this one, when I put it down, it does not fire that one. So this is my selector. It's pretty basic. It's based off this design here. This is the formation of the selector right here. However, I had to add a lot of extra wiring to support the turning off features. So, same basic idea, selector here. And I'm going to go over the circuit because you could probably see it's pretty much directly integrated right here. So here's the input. It's the same circuit right here. It just has extra stuff in front of it to propagate the signal properly to be able to shut it off. So going over the selector, what you'll notice is that our buttons are here. So this is our input. Right, and when we push the input, when that input is not selected, so if we select another input and we push it, you notice the first thing that happens is it turns on this, right? It pushes up the proper piston, which pulls back this piston, right, because it's losing power from there, which turns off this, which then turns on the torch, which powers the output. So when I push the same input again, it pushes that up, but it's not powering the piston again, so nothing happens. So it's based off the idea that pistons can be quasi-connected. So this piston is currently being powered from this block, but if this piston isn't there, it's not powered. So it's using pistons to determine which one's powered and which one's not. So basically what it is the input comes in, right, and it goes two ways. The first way is it powers these redstone torches here, which does two things. First, it powers the block above from these pistons when it's extended, which gets our output into the torch, then to the block, right, so the redstone lamps. So that gives us our output properly, and it's using quite simple technology there. The other thing that it does is it goes through a second set of repeaters right here to power the proper blocks of the selector, right, so the proper pistons. So if this one's up, it powers the piston that's currently up. If it's down, it doesn't power, and that's how we get our proper one. Notice at this point we have to invert the signal in order to get to the proper format because of how pistons work. Right? Now down here it goes the second way. So it powers this block, which then in turn powers this redstone line. So when any of these are fired, right, because this is using simple redstone wire, it triggers a block update to the pistons down below. This is using some really weird stuff with pistons, but these pistons are when this line has power, all the pistons are being powered by these three repeaters down here, right? They're all being powered at the same time. Even if I was to come up here and remove these torches, right? If I was to pull down that lever, they all extend. Even though these repeaters are not powering the pistons directly, they're powering a block above them, right? Above into a diagonal. However, if we remove these redstone lamps, we come back, they don't turn on. So what this is doing is relying on the feature of the pistons, which allows us to create block update detectors, and it also allows us to create a piston that's powered from the diagonal. And it uses a block update, right? So when it's powered, when it powers the block, it sends a block update to the piston that says, "Hey, I need to be extended. Okay, you're actually being powered right now." So therefore, we have a pretty basic powering mechanism for these pistons, which extends this. And if that line is currently on, it will stay on. So if you notice, when we come over here to our redstone torches, right? So if we select one, right? So if this line is powered, when we initially push up the pistons, it will stay on. However, when we power one of the inputs, it turns that input off, which means when this input turns off, this one is still off, right? Because this is one tick ahead. I mean, one has one extra tick of delay than this down here. So this retracts, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, but it doesn't get power from this in time, which means this retracts and stay retracts. But if it's extended already, then these repeaters also power the piston itself, keeping them up. So as you can see, it completes the circuit and we get our proper outputs. So that is the selector. If you didn't understand it, this was basically taken from another YouTuber's idea. It wasn't as good. The input was reversed and used torches a lot, so I sped it up and I made it a lot more compact. So I'm not going to say I base this off of anything, but it did use the basic piston and block update design that I'm using here. So I may link that video in the description if I remember, but don't count on it. If you don't understand what the selector is, then I suggest you strongly pause here, build it in the game yourself, and examine what it does for you. So as you can see, repeater, torch, repeater, block, redstone, repeater, block, lamp, piston, block, repeater, block, torch, and it's tileable. Right, it's tileable up to about 15, at which point you'll start getting into signal decay issues. But if you don't trigger signals that are completely opposite from each other, you could get around that. You could also get around that with the double-edged redstone repeater, but then you're going to have gaps in your structures. So I wouldn't exactly recommend that. It's a very difficult thing to build. But then we come over here to the big baby. This thing uses the exact same thing, as you can see, right? Here's our input, repeater, repeater, torch, repeater, torch, and our output up here. So it's the same thing. I'm not going to go over what it does. You should already understand that from the first part of the video. But what it does special is it can lock. So what I had to do to make this work is I had to send each of these inputs through a monostable circuit. This is a pretty basic monostable circuit. It's a 3-tick monostable circuit, right? So we got our input, which powers both this block, which powers this piston, right? And powers this repeater. However, after one tick, this piston realized, hey, I need to be powered, so it pushes itself up, which blocks off the circuit, creating a 1-tick pulse, right? So what we're able to do from that is we're able to extend it to 3 ticks using repeaters, using another glitch, but this glitch has been stated won't be patched, which is when you send a 1-tick pulse to a repeater, it extends that pulse to the length of the repeater. We have to have 3 ticks here for one reason and one reason only. Torches are weird. If we have this at 1 tick, nothing will happen, right? What'll happen is sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. As you notice, everything's shut off. If we extend it, it's because a repeater with a torch with 1 tick only fires the first torch. It only activates the first torch. Any subsequent torches do not work. I'm not sure why this is. It'd be great if someone had an explanation for it. But all I know is that 3 ticks delay seems to fix it in this application. And for most it takes either 2 or 3 ticks. I chose 3 ticks here because it also helps to prevent against 1-tick pulses up top. Now, the other thing is we have this locking mechanism. And it's pretty basic. It's a little bit more understandable than the whole selector idea. But as you can see, when this is down, right, it's unlocked. So the sign here says down is unlocked, so it's unlocked. And when it's unlocked, the lever is actually right underneath this, right on top of this block right here, or one of these blocks right here. And it powers this entire redstone line and all these repeaters, which turns off these torches here, and it allows the monostable circuit to work. However, if we lock it, flick the lever, if you notice, all the pistons go up, and now what we have is a monostable circuit that doesn't work because there's nothing to complete the circuit. So it effectively turns it off, and there's no output from any of the buttons when we push them, and it works as expected. So I hope you guys did enjoy. I'll definitely leave a schematic in the world download in the description, because it's kind of complex and I don't expect everyone just to get this on their first run. It's not the most compact of selectors and it's not the fastest, but I think it gives a good balance between speed and compactness. But I hope you guys did enjoy. I'm Angry Beast and I'm signing out. I'll catch you guys in my next video.